Hey friends and fam, it's Chloe again. Welcome to my channel. If you're new, please subscribe by hitting that subscribe button below there. Please like or dislike my videos. I know that they're kind of boring. And share them. Comment below. Please tell me who you are, where you're from, and just welcome. So tonight I want to talk a little bit about, and I've got my timer going, so I'm going to try not to talk so fast tonight because I don't have a lot to talk about. Right now there's a storm outside, so hopefully I won't scream like I did in a Facebook Live that I did the last time we had a storm. Because I'm going to talk a little bit about my fears, and then I'm going to talk about the pitfalls of becoming older. So some of my fears are loud noises, storms, bees, as you well know from my previous videos that I've made, when I had bees in between my patio door and my screen door last year. Those are my three biggest fears. I'm not very fond of snakes, but I don't have a lot of run-ins with snakes. In Minnesota, I don't think we have any poisonous snakes unless you go to the zoo. Mostly the common snakes that are around here are garter snakes, and they don't really hurt you. But my fear of loud noises and my fear of storms comes from when I was a child. And I think my fear of loud noises came from when I was in elementary school, and we went on a field trip to a police station / fire station, and they had the fire trucks inside the garage. And of course, you know, they always have to sound the sirens, and so when they sounded the sirens inside this pretty small garage, that was very, very scary. I mean, as a child, you're afraid of, you know, when you're going to a parade and they sound the sirens as they're driving by you, they're really loud, and so that can be quite scary. So I think that's where my fear of loud noises came from, and I know where my fear of storms came from. Growing up, my grandparents, my maternal grandparents, lived right next door to us, and after my grandfather passed away when I was 12, my grandmother lived alone. And so I have three older sisters that I grew up with, and whenever my grandmother could hear thunder like maybe 20 miles away, she would always call us and ask my mom if one of us girls could spend the night with her so that she would have some company for the storm, because she was afraid of storms. And every time I went over there, I hated going over there because she was a basket case. So I blame my maternal grandmother for my fear of storms. There was one storm back, I don't remember when it was. It was before 2014. And I was at work in South Minneapolis, and it was around lunchtime, and it didn't look too bad outside. I had checked the weather around 12:30ish or so, and I had seen like there was a small cell of, like, you know, a tiny little blip on the radar that looked like it was heading our way. And shortly thereafter, one of my coworkers came behind me and he said, "Did you look outside?" And I could see the clouds kind of looked like they were coming down like this, but I couldn't really see because of the way that the cubicles were. I was doing data entry at the time. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh yeah, it looks kind of dark outside, whatever. It didn't look green, it didn't look scary, and it just looked like a small, you know, minor thunderstorm was coming through. And then all of a sudden, the lights went out, and they came back on about 20 minutes later. 20 minutes later, the lights went out and came back on right away. And then all of a sudden, the double pane windows were going in and out like this. And they say that in a tornado, it sounds like a freight train. This one sounded like a plane was going to land on the roof. And on the side of the building I was on the top floor, which was the 5th floor. And it literally sounded like there was a plane that was going to land right on the roof. It was that loud. It was an F1 tornado, and it kind of sideswiped my building, and I was totally a basket case at that point. So that was then, like 2 weeks prior to that, I lived in the same town I'm in now, but on the other side of town, and there were some funnel clouds not even a mile away from where I was living. And so I was hiding in the parking garage because I lived in another apartment on the other side of town. and we could hear the wind whipping through like brick on the outside of the building, and then like those cement cinder blocks, I guess you call them, on the inside of the building, and we could hear the wind whipping through all of that. I felt I was safe because there was no windows, so I was sitting in my car and I was underground, and I felt that I was pretty safe and everything. That was scary. That was really scary. And then 2 weeks later, the tornado hit my work building, which was really, really scary. So those are my fears. Something else I wanted to talk about was the pitfalls of becoming older. Now, as many of you guys might know, I have since taken the video down, but I recently celebrated, well, not recently, back in March, I celebrated my 52nd birthday. So I'm 52 years old. And, no wait, I'm 52? Yeah, 52. Sorry, I had to think. That's another pitfall of being older. You forget things really easily. And so being 52 years of age, you start feeling the aches and pains of getting older. I don't exercise a lot, which is probably why I've got like back problems. For many years, I have had arthritis in both of my knees. It started in my left knee and then eventually went to my right knee. I've done data entry for 30 years, and so my wrist is really feeling it. And of course, my second ex-husband had sprained my wrist, and so this was back like 10 years ago. And so I don't know if it's a continuation of that. It's probably a combination of that and doing data entry for 30 years. I did actual cross-stitching since I was 9. I don't pick it up that often anymore because my eyesight isn't that great. Another pitfall of becoming older. But the things that I'm dealing with right now is I'm kind of curious why I'm not getting more of a following on YouTube. And in my last video, I talked about YouTubers that I watch, that I'm subscribed to. Most of them are in like their 20s or 30s, and so that's probably why they have a big following. Trilogy Media obviously would have a big following because they are actors, directors, writers, and during their Kickstarter, I will do a little shameless plug here for them, they raised almost $100,000 in their Kickstarter. So they're going to be putting out a TV show. I'm not sure where it's going to be aired, but it is about the other side of the scamming thing that they do. They call scammers and mess with them and try to get them to, you know, they try to waste the scammers' time so that they don't scam other people out of their money. And so they're going to be doing a show, and it's going to be called The Cheat. And it's in very pre-production. They're going to start working on it, I'm guessing, starting tomorrow. But they'll still be doing videos and stuff like that. But in between doing this production of this TV show, they're going to be acting in it. They're producing it. They're going to be directing it. Their names are Ashton Bingham and Art Kulik. They are part of Trilogy Media. And so that's their shameless plug. So Art, Ash, if you're watching, hey, it's Chloe. But they're famous, so obviously they have a big following. CJ Faison, I had mentioned him. He used to be a NASCAR driver, and so obviously his name has been out there for a while. So of course he's going to be famous and have a lot of people following him. Now, I'm just starting out in the YouTube world, and so I'm still trying to find my niche, or my niche, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm still trying to figure out what my content should be. I know earlier this spring I said I was going to go out and do a lot of explore videos. I really haven't done a lot of that. I am, however, working on, I've started filming some of my videos that I'm going to make as soon as I can upload or get like the full version of Filmora, so I can edit it all together. But I have started working on my trip down memory lane, and I did that when I was in Illinois for that concert. So I do have some of those, some of that video up on my computer. I just have to film around here, which you'd think that would be easier. But with my work schedule and everything, it's kind of hard. And then we get days like this where there's a storm coming through, And I keep watching the weather on my computer. I apologize. I should be paying attention to you guys. So I'm going to start working on that. Hopefully this week I can get out and do some filming around the places I grew up. I do know that the house that I grew up in, they're having some construction on the house, and there's also some construction on the roadway. And so the roadway that's in front of my house is a very busy road, and so I don't want to hold up traffic. I don't want to draw attention to myself, so I won't be filming at my house that I grew up in for very long. I need to go and scope out the area and see if it's safe for me to like pull off to the side, so I can let other cars go through and just film from my car. I'm not going to get out of my car and, you know, all that stuff, but I'll film where I grew up. I'm going to film some of the schools that I went to. I know I kind of gave you a little sneak peek when I went to the Burwell house. The Burwell Elementary School was right across the street, and now it's still a school, but it's a different kind of a school. And so I'll try to film around there. Now that it's summertime, I shouldn't have a problem going there and getting out of my car and filming around the outside of the school. And so I'm not going to show you every house I've lived in, because I did live in St. Cloud for a little while. I'm not driving an hour to get up to St. Cloud just to show you an apartment building for 30 seconds. I used to live in Rockford, Minnesota in a trailer home. That home has since been brought to Duluth many years ago. And so I'm not going to go out there, but most of the homes that I have lived in, you will be seeing that once I get that whole thing uploaded. But anyway, back on track. So one of the biggest things I'm dealing with in growing older is finding a job that pays well. Because I've done data entry for 30 years, and for the past 10, for the most part, I've done temp jobs. And so those are it's like playing the stock market. It could be good one day and bad the next. And so I've had jobs that have lasted as little as 2 days, paying $12 an hour, to a job that ended up being an 18-month assignment, and I actually got hired on by the company because I did such a good job. And then 4 years after that, then I got displaced, as they say. So I've made anywhere from $12 to $17 an hour. And the job that I'm at now, I had to take a huge pay cut. I had to, I'm now working half the hours I'm used to working, but I'm working the maximum amount of hours that I'm allowed to, and it's really kind of burning me out a little bit. I'm not thinking of quitting, but I'm thinking of doing something totally different. I've been looking at home work at home jobs, and I know that they're kind of, you know, like, you got to be careful with those, because a lot of them are scams. You have to pay an upfront fee, and then they could take your money, and then, you know, it ends up being a big scam. But this one sounds pretty legit, and actually I got the idea from Ashton from Trilogy Media, and it's doing transcribing for like Viacom, CBS, ABC, NBC. I haven't quite started it yet because I'm still kind of researching it to make sure that I'm not going to be taken for a ride. They don't ask for an upfront fee. They pay you weekly through PayPal, which I went to my bank and found out that I can transfer the money from a PayPal account into my bank account, which is good. But the thing I'm finding is that I don't really want to go back into data entry because it kind of burned me out. Even though transcribing is sort of like data entry, but I can do it from home and I can do it on my own terms. And I'm still, like I said, I'm still researching that. But as you get older, I know legally companies cannot tell you that they won't, excuse me, oh my goodness, that they won't hire you because of your age. I know legally they can't say that, but being in my 50s, I can see how these companies work because it has happened to me through a temp agency, actually. I was up for a job that I would have been perfect for, and I was told that they were reorganizing it, so they were taking the job off the market. And then later when I asked about it, they said that they reorganized and they hired somebody else, and they kind of hinted that this other person was younger. I mean, legally they couldn't say that, but they kind of hinted at that phase that the person was maybe like from college. And I mean, I know you can be in your 50s and be in college and that in this day and age, but I just kind of presumed that the person was younger than me. And that's what a lot of companies do. They would much rather hire the younger kids, like 20s, 30s, that will take less pay so that they don't have to pay somebody that has the experience like myself, 30 years of experience, that is worth paying more money to. And so I've been struggling with that for a while, and that kind of gets me a little depressed with stuff like that. So that is one of the biggest pitfalls of becoming older, is trying to find a job that will work with you. Yes, my 16 minutes are up. So at this point, I'm going to have to cut this video a little bit short because I know my camera shuts off at about 18 minutes and I've got about 2 minutes left. So at this point, I'm going to say again, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for supporting me. Big shout out to all of my people, all my peeps, John, Veronica, Danny, Bill. Bill Silvermist did say thank you for subscribing to her as well. Star Shadow Silent Paw. She did notice that, and I talked to her today, and she said thank you, thank you, thank you. So she thanks you for doing that. Catherine, Andrew, Ron, Silvermist, all you guys that are watching me, those I didn't mention, I apologize, but I have very little time left. So at this point, I'm just going to go ahead and say I'll talk to you on the next one, and have a sunny day.